Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I'm going to be showing you how to build strong, stable lunges that aren't wobbling around, tipping over, all that stuff that you deal with. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and get into this one. All right, like I said, today we're going to be showing you how to build strong, stable lunges that aren't wobbly, that aren't sending you tipping over to either side, and that don't cause you pain if you have any issues with knee pain or anything like that as you're doing them as well. This is going to be something that will help you overall with your lunges to make sure that you can execute them well and that you're also scaling them properly. The biggest issue that a lot of people come up against is that they are actually doing a more advanced version of lunges than they really probably should be before they ever have established some of the key pieces that need to be in place before they actually start doing a standard forward lunge, because that's what most people are doing when they think about it. It's just that strict forward lunge, walking forward. And that is where the problem is. That is one of the most advanced variations of the lunge, and it should be saved for last. So we'll actually get to how to scale. We're going to talk about how to set up here, and then we're going to give you some variations as well that you can use to help identify and challenge some of those weaker points in your lunges, also to help you build a strong, stable lunge from the floor all the way up through your core. So let's go ahead and start with that ground up approach in establishing a proper setup and where to begin to scale your lunges in the first place. The very first place we want to begin to build our lunges from the ground up are, first of all, establishing the proper scaling and setup. So when we talk about scaling, this is the level or difficulty of the lunge itself. And a lot of individuals are jumping straight to forward lunges or reverse lunges or some form of lunge that actually has a disconnected point where they are moving and they have to either accelerate or decelerate in some way, shape, or form, which adds difficulty to the movement, when really we should be building upon some foundational pieces and really building our strength in a static position. So this is a split lunge, and this is one of the best places to begin to build your lunge mechanics so that you can establish that solid foundation and continue to build from there. So with the split lunge, we do want to make sure that we are setting up properly so that this carries over into every lunge we do further on and beyond from here. So with the lunge, we want to start feet, hips, distance apart. We have a mat at our heels here, and you're going to step straight back with one leg reaching for the small toes. So I want to reach for the small toes so that it internally rotates my hip, and I should be turning my leg so much that I actually feel that hip rotating inward and turning in toward this front leg. Now from the front leg, I want to externally rotate my hip so that my knee is in line with my smallest toes there. So this is going to set up my stable structure as far as being able to stabilize my pelvis through torsion and my legs as well through that rotational force, okay? I should have a deep enough step that I'm pretty balanced between those and enough width between my feet that that's also keeping me kind of on a railroad track almost in this sense, where that helps with the internal rotation of the hip. Those things should already bring some more stability in your setup. It's okay if they don't right away. This is going to take practice as well. So once I have that positioning, both legs should be fully extended as much as possible. My extended leg, I want to make sure, is not causing me to arch my low back, okay? So I need to keep my glute engaged on that back side all the way through the movement, and that is where it'll be challenging for a lot of you. So when I lunge down, this glute should still be firing in this bottom position because the hip needs to be completely in extension and stabilized there. This knee, you'll notice, again, stays in line with those smaller toes. I'm still on the smaller toes of the back leg, and then I'm driving straight through both legs, coming straight down, straight up, and nice vertical movement. No change, no acceleration, no deceleration there. that is where we want to build our lunge from in the very first place, okay? So it is establishing a good split stance position and building strength and endurance in that position before we start to add anything else from there. Now, there are a few things we might take a look at structurally that would also help with our stability. And this is gonna be our feet, okay, and our hips working together. I'll put a video right up here somewhere, okay, that'll come up probably here, that will tell you or give you some ideas on how you can actually work with improving your feet. Now, a lot of people think that their feet are better than what they actually are. So I would encourage you to take a look at this video, test out some of these moves, and see for yourself where your feet currently stand, because that is a big part of how our foot is connecting with and stabilizing and providing stability from the foot to the ankle up to the leg itself, which also factors in how the hip is being affected. So if you notice when you are doing lunges that your knee is wanting to cave inward, that cave can either come from collapse and instability at the foot and ankle, or weakness up at the hip as well. So those are things you do want to pay attention to as far as things breaking down in the movement itself, okay? When we're in this static position, which is another reason I like to start here, because you can identify where the weakness is. Do I have that stability, or things falling apart where I lose that external rotation of my hip and lack control in it? Or am I able to maintain it? Okay, and then being able to identify ankle and foot or hip, what's breaking down from there and what's causing it. So that is something that you can take a look at that video, dive into, look if it's the foot and the ankle, and then I'll put another one as well. How about right now for the hip also, that you can look at for stability there. Those two feed each other. Keep that in mind. Now that we've established the foundation of it, the setup that you want to build with that split stance, I'm going to show you a couple variations that you can use to help you actually solidify the different pieces and parts upstream from the ground up. So working with a band anchored low on a post, you can take that band and start with what we call a first metatarsal pin. So I want to put that band under the first metatarsal of my foot that's out front and set up just as I would normally, okay? So hips distance apart as far as the width, internally rotating back hip, both legs fully extended, and I'm keeping that band pinned under my front first metatarsal there. So the goal is to maintain that band in tension, and it's helping train the stability of my foot actually connecting and rooting to the floor in this lunge. So I'm focused on keeping that band from snapping out from under me, just like that, and making sure that I'm able to actually keep a good rooted front foot when it is planted. Now again, these skills will transfer into forward lunges, reverse lunges when the time comes, but we want to build that base in the beginning. The next piece I want to move up to at the same anchor point, so keeping that band low, is placing it on the outside of the ankle so that it's pulling me into a caving ankle. So that first exercise we can use to also help if your ankle tends to roll out on lunges on that front foot. The second one we can use if you notice a collapse at the ankle. So we want to keep that ankle nicely aligned, take my step back, make sure we have that solid foundation, a good width on it, internally rotated, okay, foot planted, and then I'm working the lunge with the knee aligned up with those small toes here with the band at the ankle itself. Okay, so here we're starting to work different pieces and parts building upward. From there, we'll move up to the knee. And by moving the band up to knee height, I'm actually going to be working my hip, right? Okay, so my hip and foot control what's going on at the knee. My external rotation is what's going to keep that knee in the alignment that I want for my lunge. So being able to keep that knee in that externally rotated position as that band pulls across is helping build stability at my hip, even though it looks like the knee is what would be collapsing. From here, and I would normally use a thicker band for this, but we can take that and we're going to face the band this time and move it up to the hip itself. Now banding at the hip here helps with establishing that engagement of the glutes through extension, okay? So making sure that my hips stay engaged, my glutes stay engaged all the way through that lunge, using that band to help pull me into that hip extension while engaging the glutes and driving forward into my hip flexors here. So I should feel kind of a big stretch at my hip flexors all the way through that lunge. And that is, again, establishing stability from the hip itself. The last exercise here we're gonna do is a little bit of a core engagement where it's up higher around the back of the shoulder. So what we wanna do is take the band, we're gonna wrap it around our back so that we can push with one arm, pull with the other into the band that's closest to that post, and then we're gonna step so that we have opposite arm and leg engagement, okay? So my pulling arm is connected with my extended leg to the back, my pushing arm is connected to that front leg, and that cross-sectional connection is what's giving us our stability in this lunge now. So training our core to stay engaged so that we don't unravel through that movement, and using that core connection to help stabilize from the core up above. Because if we are unable to stabilize and organize that spinal column, then it can break down from our torso above down into the legs as well. So we're building it from the floor up, but it also has a core component to it. And this is a great way to tie that into and build the stability of your lunges, including from the floor up with some of those other exercises as well. So really building upon stability at each level, moving upward to create the most stable lunge. Once we have that in the split stance position and you've added some load, you could use these variations to challenge your stability. You can add load with the standard split stance. You could do variations like a Bulgarian split squat. Those are ways that you can increase difficulty without improving or increasing the level, taking it into something that's moving or adding a speed to it. Once you have those, now you should see more stability coming into your forward lunges, your reverse lunges, and you've built yourself a nice solid lunge to work from. All right, and there you have it. How to build a strong, stable lunge from the floor up, starting with proper scaling, a good setup, and then actually testing that position with some banded exercises to really challenge that stability at each level as you move upward. So that is one of the best ways to build that foundation so that you're not tipping over on your lunges when you do go to scale them up to something like a reverse lunge and then a forward lunge from there. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend if they are falling all over the gym every time they are doing lunges. Test it their way, help them build that lunge up. And if you're somebody who struggles with training aches and injuries that are inhibiting the intensity level that you're able to train at, but you'd like to change that, what I want you to do right now is drop down below in the description to fill out a coaching application and schedule a mobility blueprint call. This is our opportunity to get on a Zoom call together so that I can assess your current mobility limitations and needs and tailor a program specifically to those needs and your goals. Once I have all the information I need, I can lay out what your program would look like for you in full detail, the things that we'd be having you do, the duration of the program, the equipment needs, the way that coaching works, and any other questions around your programming, including cost and all of that that's involved. So if that sounds good to you, drop down there right now, fill out that coaching application, get that call scheduled, and we'll start moving you in the right direction. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it does not get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. See you next week.